I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't.
Did you know that over 181,000 people in California are currently homeless, and that number could double in just the next year? In 2025, families, veterans, students, and even full-time workers are being pushed out of their homes at rates we've never seen before. Cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, and San Diego are turning into battlegrounds, not just for housing, but for basic human survival. What's really behind this exploding crisis? Is it just bad luck and bad choices? Or is there something much deeper going on? As rents skyrocket, shelters overflow, and government programs fall apart, the dream of a stable home is vanishing for millions. And the most shocking part, many people at risk don't even see it coming until it's too late. In this video, we're counting down the 10 biggest reasons why California's homeless crisis is spiraling out of control in 2025, and why you or someone you know could be next. Number 10, the silent mental health epidemic. When we think about homelessness, we often imagine job loss or rising rent, but there's a deeper, quieter crisis unfolding behind closed doors: mental health. In California, nearly half of the chronically homeless population suffers from severe mental illnesses like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, or untreated trauma-related disorders. And here's the disturbing part: most of them have no access to the care they desperately need. Over the last few years, California has closed down or underfunded numerous psychiatric facilities, making it almost impossible for vulnerable individuals to get consistent treatment. According to a 2024 study by UCLA, nearly 47% of homeless individuals in Los Angeles report having at least one major untreated mental health condition. Without proper care, these individuals are unable to keep jobs, maintain relationships, or even access housing programs, trapping them in a dangerous cycle of instability. And this isn't just happening to people living on the street. Many Californians today are silently battling anxiety, depression, or PTSD while barely holding on to their housing. One missed paycheck, one panic attack, one bad week, and suddenly, they're on the edge. Unlike physical health, mental health issues are invisible until it's too late. The scariest part? You won't see this coming. These aren't just statistics. They're teachers, veterans, single parents, even students. People who once had stable lives. People who look just like you and me. Until California makes mental health services more accessible, consistent, and part of the housing conversation, this silent epidemic will keep growing and pushing thousands more into the streets. Because without mental stability, no roof is truly secure. Number 9, the criminalization of being poor. What if being homeless didn't just mean losing your home, but also made you a criminal in the eyes of the law? In cities across California, laws that target the unhoused have quietly exploded. Anti-camping ordinances, loitering bans, and sweeps of encampments have become regular events. Instead of offering help, many local governments are pushing people out of sight, ticketing them, arresting them, or simply destroying what little they have. A report from the ACLU found that California spends millions each year on enforcement tactics that don't solve homelessness. They just move it around. People are fined for sleeping in public, even when there's no shelter available. Tents and belongings are confiscated. For many, it becomes impossible to even hold onto an ID, apply for a job, or meet with a caseworker when they're constantly displaced. Imagine trying to rebuild your life while being chased from park benches, sidewalks, or bus stops. There's no stability, no space to breathe, no chance to move forward. It's like trying to swim while someone keeps pushing your head underwater. And the irony? Most of these offenses wouldn't apply to someone with a roof. Sleeping in your backyard? Legal. Sleeping in a tent downtown? Now you're a public nuisance. The same action gets two very different reactions based on whether or not you have a home. Instead of treating homelessness as a symptom of a broken system, we're punishing the people stuck in it. Until that changes, the cycle of poverty, arrest, and instability will only deepen, dragging more people down with it. Because in California today, being poor isn't just hard, it's criminal. Number 8, the disappearance of affordable housing. California isn't just dealing with a homelessness crisis, it's facing a housing extinction event. The state has been bleeding affordable housing units for years, and in 2025, the loss has hit critical levels. If you're not earning six figures, finding a safe, stable place to live is becoming nearly impossible. According to the California Housing Partnership, the state is now short more than 1.2 million affordable rental homes for low-income renters. Let that sink in. over 1 million units missing. And every year, older rent-controlled buildings are being demolished or converted into high-end condos and short-term vacation rentals. Meanwhile, the replacement housing is either delayed by years or priced far beyond reach. This is why you'll find full-time workers, nurses, teachers, delivery drivers, living in their cars or on couches. They have jobs, they pay taxes, but they can't afford to live anywhere near where they work. And here's the kicker: once someone loses their housing, the road back is brutal. Even if they find a better job or financial aid, there's simply nowhere to rent at a sustainable price. Competition is fierce, credit checks are unforgiving, and landlords often reject people with even one past eviction. Affordable housing isn't just a statistic, it's the foundation of a stable society. Without it, families crumble, communities vanish, and the workforce collapses. The people holding up our cities are being forced to sleep in the shadows of the skyscrapers they helped build. This isn't a housing shortage. It's a housing exclusion. And every day California delays action, more lives are lost, not just to the streets, but to stress, despair, and broken dreams. Number 7, zoning laws that block real solutions. Believe it or not, one of the biggest reasons California can't solve its homelessness crisis comes down to 2 words: zoning laws. Across the state, outdated zoning regulations still favor single-family homes over multi-unit or affordable housing developments, even in areas with massive housing shortages. That means developers who want to build apartments, shelters, or supportive housing are often legally blocked from doing so. Or worse, slammed with years of red tape, lawsuits, and neighborhood pushback. Why? Because many communities still cling to NIMBYism, not in my backyard. Residents fight to keep low-income housing out of their neighborhoods, citing fears about crime, property values, or changing the community. But what that really means is this: they'd rather see people sleeping in tents on sidewalks than living in apartments next door. The result? Projects that could house hundreds are killed before a single brick is laid. Even with funding, land, and willing builders, the laws themselves become the barrier. According to a 2025 study by the Urban Policy Institute, over 70% of residential land in California's major cities is still zoned exclusively for single-family homes. This isn't just inefficient, it's deadly. When laws prevent solutions, the crisis only gets worse. People remain on the streets not because we can't help them, but because we're not allowed to. Until California seriously reforms its zoning laws and challenges local resistance, housing will remain out of reach for the people who need it most. We can't build our way out of homelessness if the rules won't let us build. Number 6, skyrocketing rent prices no one can afford. It's no secret rent in California is out of control. But in 2025, it's reached a level that even middle-class families can't keep up with. In cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco, the average rent for a one-bedroom has crossed $3,000 per month. That's not luxury, that's just survival. What's causing this surge? A mix of post-pandemic demand, limited housing supply, and the rise of short-term vacation rentals like Airbnb. Investors are snapping up entire apartment buildings, converting long-term housing into profitable short stays for tourists. And regular people, they're getting priced out, forced to move farther away or onto the streets. A recent housing report found that in order to afford rent without being cost-burdened, you'd need to earn at least $39 per hour in many parts of the state. Yet California's minimum wage is just $16 per hour. Even 2 full-time jobs aren't enough to make ends meet. Think about that. A barista, a preschool teacher, or a grocery store worker, people we depend on every day, can't afford to live within 50 miles of where they work. That's not just unfair. That's a recipe for collapse. And when rent jumps by $400 in a single year, which is happening right now across many cities, most people don't have a safety net. No savings, no backup plan, just an eviction notice and nowhere to go. This isn't about poor financial decisions. It's about a system that's become impossible to survive in unless you're rich or incredibly lucky. Until rent prices are controlled or incomes catch up, homelessness will keep rising, not because people are lazy, but because they're priced out of a roof over their heads. Number 5, overwhelmed shelters and broken support systems. For many Californians on the brink of homelessness, the first place they turn to is a shelter. But in 2025, those shelters are already overflowing and falling apart. What was once a temporary safety net is now stretched so thin it's collapsing under the weight of the crisis. California has invested billions into shelter programs over the last few years, but here's the truth. Funding alone isn't enough. According to the California State Auditor, more than 40% of shelters lack adequate staffing, mental health services, or even basic hygiene facilities. In some areas, people are turned away night after night, not because there's no money, but because there's nowhere left to put them. The system was never designed to handle this many people. Families are crammed into gyms. Women are sleeping in overcrowded halls without protection. Some shelters operate on a lottery system, meaning survival depends on luck. And transitional programs? They're plagued by bureaucracy. It can take months to process someone into supportive housing, and by then, many have already disappeared from the system, either back on the streets or worse. People want help, they're reaching out, but the help isn't reaching back. Shelters are supposed to be a bridge out of homelessness. But when the bridge is broken, people fall through, and for many, there's no way back up. Without urgent investment in long-term, coordinated support systems, these facilities won't just fail, they'll become part of the problem. Because in California right now, getting help too often means waiting until it's already too late. We put real time, research, and passion into creating videos like this to spark awareness and change. If it moved you even a little, hit that subscribe button. It's just one click, but it means everything to us. And tell us in the comments, which part of this crisis shocked you the most? We actually read every one. Number 4, wages that can't keep up with reality. Imagine working 40 hours a week or more and still being unable to afford rent. That's not just a hypothetical in California, it's the daily reality for millions of workers. From restaurant staff to retail workers, delivery drivers to preschool teachers, wage stagnation is silently fueling the homeless crisis in 2025. Here's the truth. While housing costs have skyrocketed, wages have barely moved. Over the past decade, the cost of living in California has increased by more than 40%, yet real wages for low and middle-income workers have stayed almost flat. Even the state's $16 per hour minimum wage, one of the highest in the country, simply doesn't cut it anymore. To afford a modest 2-bedroom apartment in most parts of California, you'd need to earn at least $42 per hour. That's more than double what many full-time workers bring home. It's no wonder so many people are slipping into housing insecurity, even when they're doing everything right. And it's not just individuals. Entire families are being pushed out. Parents working 2 jobs are still forced to choose between paying rent or buying groceries. Couples with combined incomes still can't qualify for housing in the cities they grew up in. The result? A growing population of working homeless. People who go to work during the day and sleep in cars or shelters at night. People who are invisible until the system fails them completely. The gap between income and housing cost has become a canyon, and every year it widens. Until wages rise to meet the real cost of living or housing prices are reined in, more and more hardworking people will be forced out of their homes and into crisis. Number 3, climate disasters are creating new homeless populations. You might not think of wildfires or floods when you think of homelessness, but in 2025, climate change is displacing more Californians than ever before. Massive wildfires, flash floods, mudslides, and extreme heat waves are no longer rare. They're the new normal. In just the past 2 years, tens of thousands of Californians have lost their homes to climate-related disasters. And here's the devastating twist. Many never make it back. Insurance claims are denied or delayed. Emergency aid runs out. Rebuilding takes months or years, and for lower-income families, it's often impossible. According to the California Department of Housing and Community Development, over 35% of people displaced by climate events in the last 2 years are still without permanent housing. Some are living in cars, others in tents. Many more have been forced to relocate out of state, leaving behind their jobs, schools, and communities. And it's only getting worse. Climate scientists warn that by 2030, California could see a 30% increase in weather-related displacement. That means more fires, more floods, more families left with nothing but the clothes on their backs. This crisis doesn't care if you had a mortgage, a steady income, or a nice neighborhood. When disaster hits, everyone is vulnerable. The heartbreaking truth is this: for many, climate change doesn't just bring destruction, it brings eviction. And the system isn't prepared to catch the people it's displacing. Unless California begins to treat climate displacement as part of the homelessness crisis and builds resilience into its housing infrastructure, we're going to see a whole new wave of homelessness driven not by economics, but by the earth itself. Number 2, a system that can't work together. California is spending billions on homelessness. So why does the crisis problems keep getting worse? The answer might be even more frustrating than you expect. There's no unified plan. From state agencies to city departments to nonprofit organizations, the system meant to fight homelessness is scattered, siloed, and disorganized. Everyone's working, but not necessarily together. A 2025 state audit revealed that more than $6 billion allocated to address homelessness over the past 4 years was either mismanaged, delayed, or left unspent. Programs overlap, data isn't shared, and critical resources get lost in paperwork. Meanwhile, people on the streets are left waiting, moving from one agency to another like a pinball in a broken machine. Imagine needing help, but getting 20 different answers depending on which office you call. Imagine filling out forms over and over just to get on a wait list. And imagine doing all that without a phone, transportation, or even a mailing address. Many cities don't even have a centralized database to track who's in need or where beds are available. That means open spots in one shelter might sit empty while another turns people away. It's not about money anymore, it's about coordination. And when governments, nonprofits, and local services don't communicate, people fall through the cracks. Some die waiting for help that was technically available. Until California builds a system that truly works together, all the funding in the world won't fix the crisis. Homelessness isn't just a housing problem, it's a logistical failure. And right now, that failure is costing people their lives. Because a system that's this broken doesn't just fail to solve homelessness, it helps create it. Number 1, the end of COVID-era protections. This is the tipping point of California's homelessness crisis in 2025. The one event that pushed thousands over the edge and is still unraveling lives today. The expiration of COVID-era housing protections. During the pandemic, emergency laws were put in place to shield tenants from eviction. Rent relief, eviction freezes, and utility support kept millions afloat through job losses and economic uncertainty. But those protections didn't last forever. In early 2025, nearly all remaining safeguards expired, and almost overnight, the eviction floodgates opened. In just the first half of this year, over 250,000 eviction notices were filed across California, many targeting people who'd previously been protected. Some owed back rent. Others missed a single month after losing a job or facing a medical emergency. And without legal aid or support programs still in place, they had nowhere to turn. This is how people become homeless without warning. One notice, 30 days, no lifeline. What makes this even more tragic is that many of these people were surviving, barely, but surviving. They were stable under protections. But when the safety net was pulled, they fell fast and hard. And now, they're part of a growing wave of newly unhoused individuals, people who, just months ago, had leases, jobs, and kids in school. Experts warned this would happen. And still, the rollback came with no contingency plan. This was not just a failure of policy, it was a betrayal of stability. A decision that turned housing insecurity into homelessness for thousands. Because sometimes all it takes to lose everything is one deadline. California's homelessness crisis in 2025 isn't the result of one bad policy or one tragic event. It's the outcome of a system breaking down on multiple fronts. From mental health gaps to rising rents, from outdated zoning laws to climate disasters, we're watching the perfect storm unfold in real time. This isn't just about the people we see sleeping on sidewalks. It's about families living in cars, workers couch surfing between shifts, students hiding their situation from friends, and elderly residents choosing between food and rent. The line between housed and homeless is now razor thin, and more people are crossing it every day. And what's most heartbreaking, so much of this is preventable. We have the resources, we have the knowledge. What's missing is the will, the urgency to treat this crisis like the emergency it truly is. If we keep criminalizing poverty, underfunding mental health, and ignoring the connection between climate, wages, and housing,
in terms of like work,
we'll keep watching more lives unravel.
All that.
A shelter is outside, and we mostly stay out here in the quad area.
This crisis doesn't discriminate. It doesn't knock first, and it doesn't wait for policy to catch up. But awareness is the first step toward action. And by understanding the 10 forces driving this crisis, you're already part of the change. Now imagine what could happen if millions of people knew the truth, too.